see it. I mean, this is an incredibly beautiful city, country, land of hobbits, which I love. I actually used to lead a church in Birmingham, England, which is where J.R. Tolkien wrote a lot of Lord of the Rings. And where we met, this is no lie, where we met the two water towers, the two towers in Lord of the Rings, is based off, were actually out the window as I preached.
Wow!
So yeah. I always thought, and then there was a little park where the Shire was based out of, and I always thought, you know, if I lived in America and this was here, they'd have made the whole city into the land of the elves or something. But I love it. Last time we came here, we went to Hobbitville or whatever it's called, because that's pretty cool. But I'm pretty Lord of the Rings mad, actually. So, but great to be back, see old friends, new friends, some younger friends. But today I'm going to be preaching from Luke 16, verse 19.
Come on, Joe.
Possibly one of the most uncomfortable passages that Jesus ever preached. So, let's just get into it. It's entitled, today's sermon is entitled, No Pain, No Gain.
Amen. Come on.
And we go, well, yeah, I like that concept. But it's sort of, you know, what we want to see somebody else going through on television. So you think, you know, if The Rock came out with a movie, No Pain, No Gain, you go, yeah, I can see The Rock doing a movie on No Pain, No Gain.
Yeah.
But could I see me in the movie? Don't know if it'd be a box office hit, really. But what is the concept? The concept is short-term pain for long-term gain. Today we're going to look at the parable of the rich man and Lazarus, which is in Luke 16, starting in verse 19. And consider the benefits of short-term pain for long-term gain. The negatives of living for the short-term pleasure and the cost of future decisions. You know, it has been said that Satan inspired the credit card system to get humans addicted to getting what they want. When they want, and he wants to train them in a certain philosophy, which is you can have whatever you want right now and don't think about the consequences. But even the credit card system is ridiculous. Even when you buy a car on finance, you can buy a car for $12,000, and if you buy it on finance, you will pay $24,000.
Yeah.
You can buy a dress on sale now. 70% off, you go, I must have it. And it costs you $100. But by the time you paid off your credit card, it costs you $300 because $200 of that was interest.
Yeah.
But our whole mindset from the television, from everything is going, you deserve it. You can have it now. It'll make your life happy. You know, and everything like that. Have you ever bought something and then afterwards got home and go, what on earth did I buy that for?
Yeah.
I'm not susceptible to that normally. That's normally something my wife has struggled with. But there was a time when we went to a summer fair, an Eka, and I can't remember what it was. It was like a donut maker or a bread maker or something. I went there, I've got to have it. The guy was like, this is the greatest product in the world. And I got home and went, I'm never ever going to use this. I mean, the concept of making bread in the morning, getting up at 4 a.m. to do the yeast, etc., when you can just go down to Woolworths or Coles or whatever countdown here and just buy it. I mean, it sounds a great idea, doesn't it? But, yeah, we gave that away for some of the Christmas presents all to finish. But the question we will be asking by the end of the lesson is, who do you really want to be? The rich man or Lazarus?
Right.
You know, let's take a look at the rich man to begin with. In Luke 16, verse 19, it says, there was a rich man who was dressed in purple and fine linen and lived in luxury every day. At his gate was laid a beggar named Lazarus, covered with sores and longing to eat what fell from the rich man's table. Even the dogs came and licked up his sores. You know, in this parable we're introduced to two characters, the rich man and a guy called Lazarus. And this is the only parable where Jesus actually names an individual. So maybe, you know, like, there are nicknames, aren't you? You know, people go, like, if you like Rocky Balboa, people go, no, you're a sportsman or anything like that. Maybe that's what it's meant to be. It's meant to be, you're like a Lazarus. You're like a guy who focuses on the right things. You know, in describing the rich man, every phrase adds something to the luxury in which he lived. He was in purple clothes and fine linen. He was a Don Gabbacci type guy. Do you know what I mean? A Louis Vuitton type of guy. That's who he was. That is the description of the robes of the high priests of his day, and would have cost an immense sum of money in those days. He's going like, this guy knew how to dress well and had the money to do it. So he lived in luxury every day. He had the best of what the world has to offer. The equivalent on a global scale would be having running water, food that was refrigerated, electricity, a choice of many clothes, phones, internet, many choices in life, good health and healthcare. You go, well, I've got all of those. Yeah. You're rich.
Yeah.
Everybody in this room is rich.
Yeah.
Kerry and I have the fortune of traveling around the world and going to places like Manila and Cambodia and all those different types of places. Even Samoa. Trying to get internet in Samoa, that's a joke. Okay. I mean, like we've given them our church over there a projector with all the DVDs, and it's like, wow, the whole city comes and watches it because it's like there's no Netflix. Well, you can get Netflix, it just doesn't work. But we are the rich man in this story. And actually, if you live today, you have more benefits, more luxuries than the richest of rich people living 100 years ago. They didn't have electricity, they didn't have refrigerators, there was no internet. Healthcare, what a joke. You know, we had a doctor, a really top surgeon visit our church. And I said, oh, from what I understand about, being a doctor and everything like that, really it's a whole lot of trial and error. In other words, the way that they learn out how not to kill somebody is by accidentally killing somebody. That's the way that it learned. I said, but that must have changed hundreds of years ago. He said, no, it changed in the early 1900s. And what? He said, even in the 1900s, a doctor was more likely to kill you when he tried to help you than actually help you. I was shocked. I thought it was much, much longer than that. So even the basic things we have, headache pills, cold pills, Vaseline, so many different types of things. Most of these things we take for granted. And most of us look around our life and the people around us go, well, I'm not rich. I don't own a multi-million-dollar house down the road next to the beach. I live in a one-bedroom apartment up the road and I can hardly pay rent, and I saw the cockroaches this morning. There are even some countries where things that we consider pests don't exist. We visited Cambodia. And Cambodia, there were some terrible things that happened there in the Pol Pot regime. What was really weird for us is you go out and there's no wildlife. It's deathly quiet. I'm like, where are the dogs, where are the cats, and where are the birds? It said during the Pol Pot regime, because he starved the whole nation, they all got eaten. And there were no birds. I'm like, what do you mean no birds? There's no birds, they were all eaten. Where are the rats? Everyone was eaten. Even the things that we think are horrible, they're like, we'd love to have a few birds and rats. Why do I say this? The problem with the way we view the world in Christianity is we view it from a first world point of view, not a global point of view. Then we take a look at Lazarus. Well, he was a beggar, covered with sores, so helpless that he couldn't even ward off the street dogs. I mean, he was physically weak. He couldn't even beat them up and say, go away, which pestered him. Lazarus was waiting for the crumbs that fell from the rich man's table. In those days, they didn't have knife and forks. It was just a question of, you picked up the food and you ate it. You had bread that you'd grab things in. And we went to India this year, and that's like they all use poppadom bread, and there's no forks or whatever. It's just like, it's actually quite good, but you're sort of doing all this. But the concept here is like, Lazarus is hoping that, that bit of food that they used, and then how did they clean their hands? Well, they got more bread, and they just, washed their hands in the bread and then threw it away. He was like, that's what I want for dinner. So in this story right now, let's be honest. Out of these two characters, who do you want to be in life? Hands up who wants to be Lazarus. Okay, great. We're bought into the idea. All right, we all want to be the rich man. That's the true, honest issue, because we're worldly inside our hearts, right? Point number one. What we do here echoes in eternity. We're going to carry on in Luke 16:22. The time came when the beggar died, and the angels carried him to Abraham's side. The rich man also died and was buried. In Hades, where he was in torment, he looked up and saw Abraham far away, with Lazarus by his side. You know, the scene abruptly changes from being on earth to their fate in the spiritual world. There's Lazarus in all of his glory, and the rich man is tormented in hell. Now who do we want to be? You know, what was the sin of the rich man? Well, he had not ordered Lazarus to be removed from his gate. He made no objections to his receiving the bread that was flung away on his table. He did not kick him while passing him, and he was not deliberately cruel. This was no mass murderer, paedophile, or somebody that was a drug addict. The sin of the rich man was that he never noted Lazarus. That he accepted him as part of the landscape around him and simply thought it perfectly natural and inevitable that someone like Lazarus should lie in pain and hunger while he wallowed in luxury. He was like, I want to live in my world, and hey, if you've got a bad world, then that's on you. As someone once said, it was not what the rich man did that got him into trouble. It was what he did not do that got him into hell. Too many people today say, I'm a good man or a good woman because I don't hurt people. I don't do bad things. Yes, but what do you actually do for the poor, the less fortunate, the orphans, the widows, the lost? Most people are so consumed with pushing ahead in their life, getting what the rich man wanted. I want a house. I want good clothes. I don't want to do anything bad. But I'm buying into the whatever it is, American dream, Australian dream, New Zealand dream, Chinese dream. You know, nearly every Chinese student we study with goes, I just want to be a better person. Nearly every single one. I love Christianity because I can see it's going to help me be a better person. Such a selfish way to look at it. I want to use God to make me better. It's got nothing to do with the outside world. You know, I think about it. I was studying the Bible, and I come from a city called Sydney, where we have one of the largest churches in the world, which is Hillsong. I'll be honest, not a great fan of Hillsong at all. They make some of the best Christian music in the world. They do. Never see them on the streets in Sydney. Never see them out there. We live 100 yards away from them. Never been evangelized by one. Ever. So focused. You can be so focused on being religious on your church that you never go out and help anybody. I was studying the Bible with someone. I said, I'm a Christian. I am a Christian. I'm a good person. I said, all right. When was the last time you went out and spent an hour with a homeless person? I said, I've never done that. I said, when was the last time you went into an old people's home and spent a selfless hour with somebody that had no relatives? I've never done that. When have you ever visited anybody in hospital that needed just somebody to... I've never done that. When was the last time you walked up to a stranger and talked to them and said, hey, I want to talk to you about Jesus Christ and salvation? He said, I've never done that. I said, you've never done a good thing in your life. You've just not done bad things.
Come on.
And they were shocked. I said, I'm very proud of our life, what we do as a church. And it's not just, you can be in a church and still not do good things, right? Your church can do great things.
Come on.
Yeah, we help the homeless in our church. Yeah, but Kerry and I are very consumed with, we go out and we share our faith a lot with non-Christians, walk up to people and go, hey, I want to talk about God. But also just with the poor. We went to Manila and we led the church there for 3 months, but I thought, I want to leave my heart in Manila. So this young lady came to church and she had been raped by a family member at age 13. And she decided to keep her daughter, the child. And when he was born, she named him Miracle. And I just felt like, I gotta help her. You don't want to take the child away because the mother's decided she wanted to keep it. So we decided to financially adopt her. And we started a charity called Adopt a Miracle, because the girl's name is a miracle. And it was about getting her back to school, through school, so that she could end up becoming, looking after her as a mum. But everywhere we go, we went to Cambodia, we saw an orphanage, we took over an orphanage, we went to India. And I remember coming out of the leper colony we visited, and I was disturbed. Because I felt like a tourist. Here we were on a bus, we went there and went, isn't this great? We hugged some people, we gave them, and that's all good. But I went, that's not good enough.
Right. Yeah.
I'm like in Disneyland for the unfortunate.
Come on.
So I sat on the bus and I was just disturbed. I said to Nick, I said, we need to set one of these up. We need to sort something out.
Yeah.
So immediately that night we preached about it, we got together, and now we're talking to it, we're hiring some people from the church to build one, and we're most probably going to do a school for the children of the lepers. Because what happens is that people think if their parents have leprosy, that they have leprosy too, which is not true.
Right.
But then they don't get allowed into church. Into school, sorry. You think about it. What are you really doing with your life? The point at which I started to become a true Christian, I was religious, family was super religious. I remember going to this church, and I went because I had nothing to do on Sunday morning and my friend invited me. I mean, literally that was the only reason. It wasn't like I was seeking God or anything. And I remember sitting in the back of this church and this minister preached. Many of you here think if your pluses add up to more than your minuses, when you die you will go to heaven. And I remember going, that's me. And he went, you're not. And it hit me like a bolt of lightning. It's like, what do you mean I'm not? And the truth of it, I look back on it, and this is how disturbed you can be. I was sleeping with people, I was getting drunk, I was smoking. If I actually had a real good look at myself, I wasn't good. I wasn't doing good things, I was doing bad things too. It's a funny thing about the human heart. There's a famous book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. And at the very beginning of it, it says every human being thinks they're good. Poe, who is a very famous gangster. And he said, are you a good man? He said, absolutely. I only hurt bad people, and I give lots of money to charity. Both of which were true. Because see, he was focused on what he thought was good. And I'm sure this rich man was like, hey, I'm a good guy, man. But the issue is, he had no impact on the global scale. You see, when God looks down on the world, he doesn't see you in your little bubble. He doesn't see you in your good little world. He sees 8 billion people. He sees those in the first world who are selfish and go, why have we got 2 billion people starving and then we've got food in the first world being thrown in the skip? Why? Because man is selfish. You know, the disease that kills more people than anybody else is not cancer. It's selfishness. That's the #1 disease that kills people, is selfishness. People have the ability to help, but they go, you know what, I want an extra 4th pair of Nike shoes. And you can only wear one pair of shoes as far as the last time I looked. Rather than give money to people that really need it. Point 2. The point of no return. Luke 16:24 says, so he called to him, Father Abraham. This is the rich guy. Now he started to pray, right? Okay. So he called him, Father Abraham, have pity on me. Send Lazarus to dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, because I am in agony in the fire. Now he wants to be friends with Lazarus. But Abraham replied, son, remember that in your lifetime you received your good things, while Lazarus received bad things. But now he is comforted here and you are in agony. And besides all this, between us and you is a great chasm, and has been set in place, so that those who want to go from here to you cannot, nor can anyone cross over from there to us. You know, you get one chance at life. There is no reincarnation. That's an figment of false religion. There is no second try. There is no purgatory, like the Catholics teach. No baptism for the dead, as the Mormons teach. There is only one judgment day that will determine your destiny. And you do not know that day will come. There are people that have died this year that had many great plans for this year. 21-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 17-year-olds, 40-year-olds. Nobody knows the day of their death. Once that judgment has taken place, it is final, it is irreversible. You know, heaven is a place of eternal comfort. That is actually where we all want to go, right? Let me just encourage you that while we might need to talk about hell, let's also talk about how great heaven is. Revelation 21:3 says, "And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, Look, God's dwelling place is now among the people, and he will dwell with them. They will be his people, and God himself will be with them and be their God. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death, or mourning, or crying, or pain. For the old order of things has passed away." Why is it that God allows people like Lazarus to suffer? He goes, because it's only temporary. It's only temporary. It's the same concept of discipline. Why do we spank our children? It's temporary. They might cry for a couple of minutes, but it's going to build their character. See, God is eternal. So, when he's thinking of eternity, he goes, yeah, you had a bad life for 60 years. That's like a moment. It's just like a moment. It's like, so, Lazarus had a bit of a bad life. So what? He's in heaven now. I mean, Lazarus, you okay with it? Yeah, whatever, it got me here. See, we're so consumed with avoiding pain that we take our eyes off the prize. Hell will be agony. Matthew 13:41. The Son of Man will send out his angels, and they will weed out his kingdom everything that causes sin and all who do evil. They will throw them into the blazing furnace. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Jesus was not afraid of talking about hell. Churches today are afraid of talking about hell. It is the health, wealth, and prosperity gospel. Let's make sure we sing a lot. Let's make sure everybody has a great old time at church. Let's make sure everybody's happy and go, you know, if you love God, you know what? You'll have money, prosperity, and everything will be great. Absolute lie. Give a child no discipline, and you'll create a brat.
That's true.
Give a Christian success all their life, and they won't make it till the end. It is hardship that builds our character. You know, for the non-Christian, their life on earth is as good as it gets. For the Christian, their life on earth is as bad as it gets. I mean, just take extreme examples. Steve Jobs, very famous, changed most of our lives, right? Most of us got an iPhone or something that copied an iPhone. Apple Music, download this, download that. Changed the world. Anybody in here like to be Steve Jobs today? You know why? He's dead. I am more successful today than Steve Jobs ever was. Because I'm alive. Michael Jackson. I like his music. Fantastic. Would anybody in here right now like to be Michael Jackson? No. Why? He's dead. I mean, this is a really simple concept, isn't it? We go, well, what about a Kardashian or a this or that? Eventually they will die and you go, now I don't want to be them. But everybody will die. The only people that you want to be like are the people that after they die go to heaven. Now, it's a funny thing about money. Kerry and I have had lots of money, and now we don't so, because we gave it up to start the churches and self-fund. So there is a purpose for money. But we went and stayed Christmas with some relatives, and they have lots of money. But what happens is, you get to retirement and just say, like our family members, that you actually do have all of that money, nice house, 2 cars in the garage, enough money, I mean, beautiful house, everything. So there you are at 60, you have retired, and you have everything. Now what are you going to do with your life? Absolutely nothing. You know why? Because all your friends predominantly were based around your work, that you no longer work. And you see this. It was a very, very sad story of this really rich couple in America. And the old man was found dead. Because basically they were so rich, as they got older and older, and they had no children, they were afraid that people wanted to steal their wealth. So in their house they put up more and more, bars and more gates and everything like that. Well, as they got older, they'd always go for a walk, and then she got too old to walk, and she passed away, and he was left on his own. And now he's in this big house with all these security guards, so nobody can get in. Well, he passed away. And of course, no one got in. And they found him like a year later dead. Because he was so rich and so fearful of everybody taking what was his, he pushed everybody away. You know, poor people have lots of friends. You know why? They need them. Anybody in here, like, students have lots of friends. Why? They need them. I've run out of money again. Have you got any noodles I can have? Knock on your door. I mean, students have no, I need, have you got any noodles? I've got some noodles. Let's share some noodles and ketchup on top. It's true, but students have really great relationships. You go to the islands like Samoa and Tonga, they have really great relationships. Why? We've got one coconut between 3 families. Okay, who's having it? I mean, we caught a fish. You want half a fish? Why? Because they've got nothing. It's rich people that have bad relationships.
Yeah. Come on, Joe.
You suddenly win $30 million. You go, I don't know who wants to date me, but actually dates me because they like me. They want me for my money. You know, I know many great people who are going to have a great life, but haven't had a great life on this earth. We had a young friend of ours, Brenda, with Ian and Margot. She died, 10 years ago, something like that. But she achieved the goal. She died a Christian. Her life wasn't great for her here. She never got married. She never did this. She was a great girl, but you know what? She didn't care. I've got a friend in London who's been a Christian 30-odd years. Nick Georgia, who's got bipolar. Makes him a little bit challenging and, you know, overweight a bit and everything. But he's a great Christian. He loves God. He's never really going to get married. Has to live on his own because he's a little bit awkward like that. Comes to church, he's really fired up. He's a little bit, you know, interesting. And I love him. He loves to play chess, and I help study the Bible with him. Every time I see him, I go, Nick, you're here, man. He goes, yeah, where else is there to go? But the reason he says that is because there is nowhere else to go for him. It's all about God and people. But see, wealth will destroy your life. Karen and I got wealth and really got bought into this. So we were Christians and great. We're up in Brisbane and we got some real wealth. And we thought, okay, we lived in a small house, and in a small house you have quite a little bit of conflict with your kids. We've got 2 kids growing up. Because, you know, there's only one television, you're trying to fight over what, you know, you watch, and then, you know, we're watching something Luke's like, can you turn it down, I'm trying to sleep, and we want to watch it. There's a little bit of confrontation, so we got money, bought a bigger house. Got my son his own room with his own television in. Our daughter, her own room with her television in. We had a television in our bedroom, a television in the front room, and then we had 2 lounges, no, we had 3 lounges. And you know what happened? Everybody went to their own lounges in their own bedroom. And it destroyed our family. It was like, well, we're just going to go off and do what this thing about, you know what, it'll make life easier if we have wealth. And that's why this is disastrous. We just sold it all up, used the money to start a church and go. I remember we moved back into this small house. More confrontation. But we started to talk. We started to have dinner together. We started to have this relationship back together. And we've been there pretty much ever since. We're still living together. They're 22. Sometimes I think, like, maybe it is time to go find your own bedroom. But there's this concept, wealth is not great. Now, I don't think being horrendously poor is good either. But to think wealth is the answer is an absolute lie. You know, point 3, the Bible is the answer. Luke 16:27. He answered, I beg you, Father, send Lazarus to my family, for I have 5 brothers. Let him warn them, so that they will not also come to this place of torment. Abraham replied, they have Moses and the prophets. Let them listen to them. No, Father Abraham, he said, but if someone from the dead goes to them, they will repent. He said to them, they do not listen to Moses and the prophets. They will not be convinced, even if someone rises from the dead. You know, the rich man has accepted his unchangeable fate. And now he gets evangelistic. Now he wants Lazarus to be his friend. In life, he went, I want friends like Lazarus. Now he's like, man, Lazarus, please be my friend. And be the friends of my family. One thing you notice about this is, this guy did obviously love his family, right? It wasn't like he had bad relations with his family. He didn't go, you know what, forget about my family, but my best mate or my girlfriend or... So again, most people grow up going, you know, I just want to have a great family. That's what this guy did. I'm not saying you should have bad family relations. Obviously that's a nucleus of where we spring from. But that can't just be it. Now, people may not believe in judgment and hell, but that doesn't mean they don't exist. We all become like children, you know, like children play hide and seek. Now, normally you play hide and seek, you know, I'll go out that room and you'll have to come and find me. But when you ever teach a young kid, let's go hide and seek, well, what does that mean? It means You have to be in a place where no one can see you. So they go, okay, you start counting. 1, 2, 3. And they just stand there. Why? Because they put their hands in front of their eyes. They think you can't see them. Yeah. They're hiding because they think, well, if I can't see you, you can't see me. That's how people think hell and heaven. They're like, oh, I don't believe in heaven and hell. And does it suddenly disappear for you? If it just, I don't know, there it goes. It either exists or it doesn't. That's a reality. You know, you presume from this new evangelistic zeal that now the ex-rich man, and now he is, he's not rich anymore, is he? He has no clothes, has nothing. He loved his brothers. And I think he did. But he goes, you know what, send Lazarus. And Jesus is saying, you know, using the parable, he's going, you know, if somebody rises from the dead, then surely they'll believe it. And what is that a reference to? It's a reference for Jesus rising from the dead. What's amazing, Jesus did rise from the dead, and people still didn't follow him. Yeah. That's mind-blowing. You think about miracles. One of the most sort of, a miracle that sort of demonstrates where the human heart is. If you read about the Exodus, so you've got 2 million people walking through the Red Sea, and many of us have seen the movie with Charlie Heston, and the walls of water go up, and here they are walking through it, you know, and then they're like, the Egyptians come, and they're really scared, and then the walls of water fall on them, and it's a great victory. And the very next day, those Israelites start complaining to God about what he won't do for them. And you're like, really? Are you nuts? Can God do anything? And yet we can be like that. Yeah. We can exactly be like that. You know, even if Jesus was here today, it doesn't mean that you would follow him. In actual fact, I don't think, I preach as well as I could, but I think Jesus would be here, he'd blow you away in the sermon. I try and do a great job, but if he was here preaching, would that really make you change? If my sermon was a little bit better, if my analogy, but he says, you know, the answer here is, he goes, if they won't follow the prophets, in other words, if they won't follow what's in the Bible, because it's incredible that God has written the Bible. Why? We're all like, what is the truth? The problem is we go to humans to find out what is the truth. One of the characteristics of the truth is it's unchangeable. Yeah. So my name is Joseph Willis. That's unchangeable. Oh, you can be clever and you can go and change your passport. Okay. But the fact that I was born Joseph Willis will never be changed. That's one of the characteristics of the truth. So the truth has to be unchangeable. So it has to be written down. So it can't be changed. It doesn't change by our generation. It doesn't change by our culture. It's not different for Chinese or English or Samoan or Tongan. It's the truth. God says, you know what? I've laid it all out in the Bible. Why doesn't he answer everything that we want to know? We couldn't handle it. How do I know that? You haven't even read the whole Bible.
Yeah, come on.
If you haven't even read the whole Bible, imagine he's made it twice as long. That would motivate you or demotivate you to read it?
Right. Come on.
It would demotivate you, right? Man, that's a big book. That's a really big book. Yeah, well, why isn't that? Why don't we, you know, have part of it on biology? Man, people don't even read what we've got. Yeah. He's trying to make it shorter and for us to do less rather than more. You know, all of our answers are found in the Bible. I'm really impressed by some people. You know, I know you guys did a Joshua March this week about inspiring people to come today. We did it just before Christmas. And we had an incredible service. There were like 65 people in the church. There were 170 people there. It was really fantastic. But this one young lady took that challenge, went out and met somebody called Christine. And Christine came to church on the Sunday, studied all the way through in 7 days and got baptized the next day. And she was flying out to China the day after. Charlotte, sorry. And then you're a bit like, oh, that's all a bit challenging. Man, she has been so solid, so faithful. Her mother has been persecuting her like crazy, which is like, I know this is true. The Bible with you. That's a great thing. You know, if your faith was based upon a minister, well, you can't take your minister wherever he goes, can you? Based upon my mum. Well, unfortunately, at some point you have to leave your mum. It's based upon the Word. I think about people that go to lots of different churches and get confused. I had the privilege of meeting somebody called Cedric last year who became a Christian. Cedric had been baptised, I think, 5 times, been to like 7 different churches, and had still given up on it. He's just like, this is rubbish. I said, how well do you know your Bible? He said, oh yeah, I know Goliath and David and Moses. I said, how do you know? Oh, I really know. Start studying the Bible with him. He didn't know it that well at all. He knew lots of sermons that he could quote. And it's one of the things I have a little bit of a beef with. People go, do you know Pastor so-and-so? Yeah. Have you heard of Pastor so-and-so? Who cares about Pastor so-and-so?
Yeah.
In heaven, it's not like, are you going to come in? Well, did you know Pastor so-and-so? That's not going to be there. But so many people, in so many different types of groups, they go, well, Pastor so-and-so. Jesus doesn't walk around going, Pastor this. He goes, let's talk about the Word of God. Yeah. We had to study lots and lots. He caught up all sorts of different false doctrines about the Holy Spirit and about this. And go, where did you find that in the Bible? You go, well, I know it's in there. Where is it? Well, I know it's in there. Really? Have you seen this script? Man, that's amazing. Have you seen this script? That's amazing. The apostles, when did they get the Holy Spirit? It was at Pentecost. No, it wasn't. It was in John before Pentecost. No, really? Wow. Where's that in the Bible? I think about Jesse Cross. Jesse Cross is now preaching in Sydney while I'm away. So Jesse Cross is not a minister. But Jesse Cross became a Christian 3 years ago. And he's white, he's Australian, he's got a big red beard. He actually looks about 28, but he's now about 22. And he was from a gang, a genuine gang in Sydney called the Bra Boys. They're people who basically would go on the beach and just go, right, let's go for it. And he was moody. He'd be at the back of church just like this, wouldn't sing, just like this. As soon as it finished, he would go and sit outside the church with his other 2 mates, like it was some nightclub that they got bored of, just like that. I mean, what is your problem? He goes, well, it might be true, but I just don't like it. I don't like people doing it like this. After studying the Bible, he realized, and I remember him saying, I will never live with other brothers. I will never sing. I will never speak on stage. 3 years ago, he's preaching today. Wow. He's married today. He's one of the most joyful people I know. Yeah. Because we changed him, we didn't change him.
Right.
The Bible changed him.
Yeah.
And now he's like, he's in love with the Bible. I said, you will never ever get me to speak on stage. Ever. He never read a book in his life. Ever. Started reading the Bible. We have a degree program. He started on the degree program, ICCM, and passed every single exam. Which is more than some of the actual ministers have. It's true, yeah. Why? Because he's like, I know the answers are in the Bible. No pain, no gain. What we do here echoes in eternity. It takes a very mature decision, especially at a young age, to go, you know what? I'm not going to focus on the here and now. I'm going to focus on the future. And Jesus gives extreme examples. Jesus doesn't want people to be like Lazarus. The reason why there are people in Lazarus' situation is because there are people that are rich that don't help them. There doesn't need to be a Lazarus. But in order for us to save the poor and help the poor, us rich people like here need to stop being so selfish and actually have a life that gives to other people. There's a point of no return. You get one life. And you don't know how long it is. Even if you try and do some heroic act, and it's terrible to find out another fireman has died in Victoria fighting the fires. A hero. But you never know when it will come. And then the Bible is the answer. The challenge today is whoever brought you, go, I want to study the Bible. I think I know it. I know some of it. But I want to really, really know. And I'll give you this challenge. If you haven't read every word of the Bible, what if you've not read the verse that says you need to do something in order to make it to heaven? You've missed that one. Wouldn't that be terrible that you read 95% of it, and not the 5% that taught you how to actually get to heaven?
Come on.
I want to challenge you today. Study the Bible with whoever brought you, and make sure you're going there with Lazarus and not the rich man.
Yeah.